back in the day, we needed people to work cyber so bad. Like it was, oh, you've got 10 years of experience, you've got CSSP, come on, let's hop on in, let's get the party started. These days, I think, there's even though we just presented there's a whole bunch of jobs and there's not enough people. I still think that job pool has shrunk considerably. I think that our aspirations of having these 60 person SOC teams, like those, have dwindled away due to automation.
Welcome to Cybersecurity Growth, a show for aspiring and existing cybersecurity leaders. I am Sean Valley.
And I am Garrett Gross.
All right. Today's show is titled Cybersecurity Jobs, What the Hell is Going On? With a question mark at the end, because both of us have been having conversations lately and just in the recent months, and we can even go back for maybe a year or so. Things are weird out there, and we're just going to talk about some of the weirdness in some of the stats and just some of the things we're hearing. That's our plan today.
I mean, quite honestly, it's a lot of like, I don't understand this. And let me just like lead with a preface. I'm unbelievably fortunate to have a job and have employment and stuff like that. So none of this is coming from a place of judgment or anything like that. It's truly like I'm seeing a bunch of my friends on LinkedIn, like, I need a job, I need a job. And I look at them and I'm like, well, you're 50 times more qualified than me. Like, how are you not able to find a job? It's pretty befuddling.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. The Cybersecurity Growth platform is now live and available for you with access to our education series of self-paced courses, templates to help you quickly build a robust security program, and a community of some of the top global cybersecurity leaders. Are you a cybersecurity professional or aspiring leader? Our unique courses, the first 100 days of a CISO, deep dives into security frameworks, and even novel industry-specific courses like cybersecurity for music professionals are tailored specifically for immediate results. Coming soon, we have a course called Cloud Security 101. We have plans for every budget with free trials. Hey, ask your manager if you can use your company's training budget to pay for a subscription. Plus, every course completed or live event attended, like these right here, these count towards CPEs for your professional certifications, like your CISSP. Join the community of more than 24 cyber pros and some of the industry's renowned cybersecurity leaders by trying one of our plans today. Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com. Hey, Garrett, I realize that because it's a subscription-based membership, you could get a subscription for less than a quarter of a cup of coffee, less than $1 a day. You get a subscription. I figured out that math this week.
Wow, I like that. Less than a quarter of a cup of coffee a day. I like that.
Yes. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Cybersecurity jobs. What the hell is going on? I'm going to throw like something that looking at some statistics to get us talking about things we've heard. I feel like I've heard before cybersecurity was a word, back when we just said information security, and that was the best way we described this world, that there was always a job shortage, right? And so like recent stats even say there's over 470,000 openings in cybersecurity in the US. That's just like recent numbers. But Garrett, what you were just talking about as we're getting started, why is it that experienced professionals are struggling to find roles? This is what we're talking about today.
I don't know. And like I speak to friends of mine, again, very qualified folks with 10, 15 years in the seat, like very willing and capable to do their security jobs. They're like, yeah, I had, 7 interviews and then got ghosted. It's like, what? For what? Now, again, with your stat, there are almost 500,000 US job openings in the cyber field. And we all know that that's a pretty diverse field. So not everyone except for Sean can do all the jobs. But, even just like you take a third or a quarter or an eighth of that, it's still like that's a huge amount of available positions. Why aren't these people able to get work?
It goes further than that. One of the articles I was reading, which is at fieldeffect.com, not a place that I know very well, but just doing a little bit of homework, claims there's over 3 to 4 million jobs that are open globally. The global number, over 3 million jobs that are globally available. Yet I'm hearing more and more people say that it is a brutal job market, right?
Yep.
It's crazy. And
Yep.
you and I were looking at some stats going into this. I just want to think about some things that I have heard and things that stand out. And like we can think about entry level folks, new to career,
Mhm.
mid level folks, been in it for a few years, but still have a long way to go. And then the more senior level experienced folks. And keep in mind, Garrett, you mentioned something too. There is no one cybersecurity job. We talk about this all the
Correct.
time. There are
Correct.
many different paths. And even in those paths that you think of are cybersecurity jobs, there are sales jobs in cybersecurity, right? There are
That's right.
software development jobs in cybersecurity. So a lot of people think cybersecurity,
Yeah.
SecOps or
Yeah.
product security or cloud security or governance and compliance, but there is just a massive amount of jobs in cybersecurity. There are legal jobs in cybersecurity.
Right.
It's enormous, right? It is actually a very large area. So, but to continue to hear these professionals, many who I've worked with at other companies before, reaching out to me on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, Sean, how you been? Got any job openings? I was laid off and I'm looking for work." I'm like, "Wow, you are one of the smartest people I know. You deliver, you provide value to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
How are you out of work?"
So I've been thinking about this a lot. And by the way, folks, none of this is scripted or rehearsed. I'm literally fumbling over my words live on air. Think about like way back in the day where we kind of had to like I don't know, convince people that cybersecurity was a legitimate thing or like that we needed to hire more people for this discrete security job function. Because, way back in the day, security was just a function of IT. And you had like an IT person that did some security on the side. So I wonder if we've just been building all this momentum up, making cybersecurity more and more important and banging that drum, which it's not disingenuous. It's supported by a slew of breaches that happen every single day, basically. And then we just kind of rode this wave, and you couple that with the growth at all costs, venture capital motion from, I don't know, 2008 to 2015. Maybe we're seeing the backswing of that because I see a lot of very large companies cutting staff across the board. Maybe they're just not prioritizing those higher backs. I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe there is something to that. I think of during the pandemic, we had obviously one of the most bizarre times in the history of Earth and
Yep.
careers and
Yep.
just life in general.
With a surge in security hiring
There
because of
was
the
there
new
was this massive
problems.
surge in security hiring, and you know what? There was a massive surge in tech hiring. There was a massive surge, from
That's
what
right.
I remember, people in all different areas. Companies were in this massive growth mode, like 2021 into 2022, this massive growth mode, and then uh, we started hearing job market issues in 2022. And it was
Right.
cyber, but it was like if you talk to people outside of information security and cybersecurity, it was everywhere.
That's right.
So, right, did these companies overhire, and now they're correcting because 2020 into 2021, the world was spending a lot more money, right?
Hmm.
When our companies were locked down, our personal lives were locked down, for whatever reason, spend was happening.
That's right.
Consumer spend was happening. It was at an all-time high. In business to business spend was on a high. I remember talking to my friends who work at like cybersecurity product companies, and they're like, "Yeah, we're
Yes.
selling tons." And then people who
Which
are at other software companies are like, "Yeah, we're selling tons. Like we're selling a ton of stuff." So companies grew because of that, and I think they grew in all areas. And then maybe things started to level back out to some level of normalcy, and they're like, "Oh no, we increased the company by like a third or some number. I don't even know the numbers. Now we've got to get back to some normal numbers."
Well, and that's a great point you made because I get it. Like IT and security scales with the business. This is not a we're just going to invent new initiatives and then grow the security team just because. No, I mean, if those initiatives support the growth of the business, whether that's geographic footprint or folks that we're hiring or new products that we have to secure and support and things like that. But I just, yeah, I wonder why there is now this different perspective of this type of hiring. I wonder if greed is becoming a part of it. If people are like, oh, well, we can get rid of all those, 20-year in the seat folks and just hire year one, year two security analysts. I don't know.
Yeah. In the Twitch chat, NeuronSec is in there saying 300,000 positions is the gap Europe is seeing in the coming years. So we were initially talking about U.S. numbers because that's what we are closest to, and it sounds like a very similar story across the pond.
That's wild. And again, don't misconstrue. Open jobs does not necessarily mean these are jobs that people are actively hiring for. They're just jobs that have maybe have been vacated or changed or things of that nature. I'm not sure about, 470,000 US openings. Are those jobs that are being actively hired for, or are those jobs that are just, hey, we need to fill those eventually?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Prepping for today, hanging out on Reddit, as I sometimes do, in the cybersecurity subreddit. There's a post here, and it's 3 months old, but it was titled, "So much skilled work shortage I keep hearing, then where are the cybersecurity jobs?" So I was like, oh,
Right.
let me read through this. And there's nearly 400 comments, and a lot of people have hit the up arrow on this. And it's just, you see people going back and forth saying it's all BS. These jobs aren't real. People, online influencers are saying this is a thing, but it's not actually a thing. Folks in here saying, I've been trying to find a job and looking for a year, can't get anything. And it's, it just keeps going down and down. People saying, the FANG companies are the ones that this is all based on.
Which again, that makes sense if you've got these companies that have these huge swings. I mean, we're just not used to it. I have worked for a very large company before, but I don't work for one now. So like I don't see that ebb and flow. But I mean, I suppose I could see it. You saw Microsoft laid off I think a record number of employees recently. So I get that. But at the same time, and maybe I'm biased, I'm sure I am, but cyber security just seems to be a critical part of the business, a utility type job, if you will.
Maybe that's a key part of it. You just mentioned Microsoft. I was actually thinking of a couple employers who I worked with in the past who have had major layoffs. Not huge companies either. One's a government contractor who, based off
Right.
of some of the numbers I saw, they may be close to, I'm just guessing, half of the workforce.
But I understand that one, and we don't need to dime that one out. But I get that one because that's tied directly to government initiative, and I'm sure a lot of that stuff has been cut
Yeah, covered,
because
tied to Congress dollars that pay for government contract work.
because bumbling fools are in charge of our government right now. Oh, sorry, I said it.
Said it. You can only try for so long. You can only
I'm,
try.
I'm
You
no
can,
longer
you
I'm
can
no longer
You can
trying.
only try for so long. Yeah, there's a website, govtech.com. So, just speaking of the government space, with articles, titled "Why Are Some Cybersecurity Professionals Not Finding Jobs?" And the reason I brought this up, this was dated 2020, which is interesting. Like, oh, this isn't even new. In 2020, September 2020, so we were like 4 or 5 months into the pandemic at this point, and a lot of folks, saying this. And I think key things are, if you think about job descriptions, are many jobs looking for that absolutely perfect, purple unicorn.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So you can look for that purple, sparkly, glittery unicorn all you want until what? Until a breach happens. But up until that point, I'm sure it's just like that paralysis on security spend. It's like, well, do we need to do that right now? And it's probably the same thing of like, well, can we keep looking because this person doesn't have, 19 years of COBOL experience and they don't have telepathy and we're really looking for that. But that could be one thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, kind of a hiring paralysis. One thing that I just thought of, and again, as I don't know, what are we, Sean? Academics, journalists? I don't know, but like from our position, I think we need to look at all sides. So I'm not in any way arguing against this thought, but what about the premise of folks got really used to remote work? And so now they've moved to, the middle of Wyoming or something. Nothing against Wyoming. I love Wyoming. But now they're looking for work, and all the jobs that they used to have, they're all now local.
That's a
Or
great topic, right? You
maybe.
were you're in 2020. You're told to work from home for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks turned into 2 years, and you're like, well, wait a second. We got the okay to work from home, and I'm living in New York City or Los Angeles or Boston,
That's right.
expensive city.
Right.
Why don't I move to a place that's a little quieter, a little cheaper? Quality of life's just different. And then next thing you know, I'm there, and then the boss says, "Hey, everyone's got to come back to the office," and the
Right.
office is in New York, or it's in LA, or it's in Boston. You're like, "Well, I live
Right.
out here now, and I'm not going to move back." And you're like, "Okay, so now I got to go find a new job in this new area," and there aren't jobs for me in this
Right.
new area.
And I've seen this to where there might not be a return to office mandate, but there is a prioritization of local hires. I've seen that. And to some end, I understand it. I get that. If that is your way of doing business and you want folks close to you, I get it.
Hmm.
I manage folks that are both remote and within the same town that I live in, and there's a difference. Now, I'm not against remote work. It's there's no difference to me. Like, we just can't like meet up and get beers all the time. But yeah, so that's one slice of that is like, are these people only able to get remote jobs at this point because they moved out into the middle of nowhere? I don't know. Because I know a lot of my friends did exactly that. They're like, I can work from anywhere. Well, I'm going to move to Western Colorado because it's a lot prettier than insert, city
Yeah.
that I live in.
What about maybe companies that are now outsourcing and offshoring? And I remember before I got into this industry, I was a software developer. And I've been working in this world for, I will go back into the 1990s. And I remember the late 1990s to the early 2000s, a lot of those like N tier, multi tier application developers started to get worried because their jobs were
Right.
being outsourced into other locales in the world where I remember hearing the story. We could get two developers for the price of one, or we could go to this nation and we could get three for the price of one. And I know those words are still being said today, but I think what's different is security has now matured to the point of like software development where folks can say, can we get that security talent? Two for one, three for one? I don't know if that's really happening, but I have seen some stats that say that outsourcing and
100%.
offshoring is underway.
It is absolutely happening. And, it's no disservice, or it's not trying to talk trash about anyone else in the world that does great work. Because, I mean, again, I've worked with teams all over the world. They do great work, even in areas where there is a lower socioeconomic standard, where people are paid much less. And those are still good workers. So, I mean, yeah, if you look at this through just a single lens of financial, or fiduciary, I don't know anything about money. Like, ask my wife. I don't know anything about money. But like, you stare through that lens of just money, I could see that decision being made for sure.
Yeah. All right. Another comment in the chat. I'm going to throw it out here and see what we both think of it.
Okay.
Security of AI is one thing, and security using AI is another. Please throw some light on where to focus for someone who is entering fresh in this domain. So, security of
Oh my
AI is
God, I
one
have
thing,
so many
security of
opinions
using
on
AI is
this.
another. Okay. Well,
So many
and then I'll
opinions
throw
on
another
this.
one because like is AI replacing security? I'm just going to throw that in there as well since we dropped AI twice. So we could probably go till we run out of time talking about this
Uh,
now.
100%. Thanks for derailing the entire conversation. So, okay, my big thing. So, AI security, I know little to nothing about. Like prompt injection, I know a little bit about that as far as like how do you re-architect the learning model to
I don't
prevent
think you need
against
to know
that?
much. You just, I mean, if you went back, if you are, old school, you're like, hey, I know what cross-site scripting is and
Sure,
cross-site request forgery and like the old OWASP stuff. This is just the next thing in OWASP. It's just a new tech,
it
new way to.
is.
So we don't have to. You and I don't need to know the deep technical. Other people can, but
That's
same
right.
same old thing, new tech.
You're right. It's like when Docker and Kubernetes became a thing. Like all the exploits were just rehashing of old techniques, just using different infrastructure. You're right. So I'll say that from a red team perspective, prompt engineering, prompt injection, I think that's very cool. I think that's a really cool area that I would maybe focus in if I was starting my career. That's super cool. The other side, though, I think is completely unavoidable. And if you resist using AI within your security tools, you will be left in the dust. Now, the good news is, from my perspective, you don't need any special skills to use AI in your sim. Like a lot of things that I've seen is AI is going to help you correlate better. It's going to help you, instead of having to write manual correlation rules, it's going to build them for you. It's going to suggest new ones. And I'll get off my soapbox in just a sec, but I remember a long time ago, I mean, like maybe even Terminator days, like that's kind of what I imagined is we're going to get to a point where machines are making decisions for us and it just scared the crap out of me. But I would always say, as long as we get to a point where the machines, the AI, they're recommending things that I can do and then action off of them, that's the point where it's an actual game changer. It's a force multiplier. I can now do with one person what I used to have five people to do.
Did you say Terminator as your example? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like Skynet, like
So, okay,
100%.
so I'm going to inject a video when I edit this, and I'm going to put in RoboCop because I'm picturing the RoboCop. You have 15 seconds to comply,
That's
and the
another
dude's
one.
like complies. He puts the gun down, and he's like, "You have 5 seconds to comply."
Yeah. And then Ed 209 just lights him up. Oh,
Yep,
I'm you can tell I've watched that movie ad nauseum. So
couple times.
my answer, and Sean, I'd love to hear your thoughts. My answer on that is the security of AI. That's going to be tied with the ebb and flow of AI popularity, I think, which I mean, I'm not one of those folks that thinks that AI is going away anytime soon, but the hype around I mean, we can predict that that's going to go away very soon. It's the whole Gartner hype cycle. We talk about it all
Mm.
the time. I forget what the upswing is, but the next part is
The trough of illusionment,
the trough of disillusionment. That's my
disillusionment.
favorite
Yes,
part.
thank you.
So yeah, I think the security of AI that will always be around. But as far as like everyone hiring 10 people to help secure their AI, that stuff's going to die down eventually.
All right, so things that come to mind to add on to that. We knew that when Gen AI started coming up, security leaders were saying, tell people to block, 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 which is what security leaders did when cloud came out, when SaaS came
100%.
out. We should
Yep.
just say this, and we should say this for the next 100 to 200 to 8,000 years from now. That doesn't work, right? With the genies out of the bottle, us security leaders don't block the new tech. It's not the way to live. It's not the way to move forward. Get over it. What we need to do is figure out, how do we live with this? How do
That's
we
right.
leverage it? How do we utilize it? How do we help protect around it? But the blocking thing, no, forget it. So the using AI, hey, anybody in security who's listening and watching, whatever part of security you're in, you should be using generative AI, even the basics, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, the basics, every single day, every
Yep.
single day. And then you should be thinking about, how can I use this for every single task in my daily life? There's a couple things to this though. The machine making decisions for you, if you don't have experience, like if you're new in career, you don't know where the things are hallucinations and where they are
That's
real.
right.
So think of it as like, okay, I need a code review. I need a
Mhm.
code review. So I'm going to use this, but I want to make sure someone double checks the work before I,
That's right.
submit whatever this idea is. If you are experienced, if you've been around for several years, you see results that come out, and you can call it up. That's a little bit off. That's, we use the word hallucination. That's a little bit off. That's a little bit wrong. And then you can update your prompt, or you can
That's right.
take the output, move it into, and the into could be in lots of things. You can move it into a Word document. Maybe your output is code and you're moving it into your dev environment. Maybe
Yep.
the output is some SIM alerts that are customized for your SIM, and you can actually just load those up. If
That's
you've
right.
got the experience, you can correct things and move it. But again, if you're younger in career and you're like, I don't know what the output is, don't worry. Think of it as a code review. Get someone to review your output. Use it every day. Use it with every tool and process you have. It will save you time. You will get familiar with writing prompts. This is the way of the future. And if you're, in the business leader role from a security perspective, if this thing's not writing your policies or reviewing your policies, or if you're a person who, part of your painful job is like, I got to review security addendums from customers and vendors, you feed
Yep.
that stuff into the machine and you review that. Now, what's the thing I haven't talked about? Data loss prevention. How much of like your corporate data, your sensitive IP, did you just feed into a machine? We do have to think about that, but plain and simple, guardrails or no guardrails, everybody's feeding stuff into that machine and it's getting sucked into it. Obviously,
Yep.
there are going to be, and there are startups all around the place saying, how do we protect data that's being fed into Gen AI? Some ways that companies are overcoming that, like licensing enterprise versions of
That's
the
right.
Gen AI solution.
I
So
was, I was about to
things are
say,
containerized. Things are containerized, and it's not your data that you inject isn't being leaked out. Boom, you've got a solve. So security people, go tell your business people, we need to protect the data. Simple. If ChatGPT is our tool of choice, or Claude or something like that, you help the company sign up for the enterprise account, and that way your company's IP can stay in a bubble that you all can use. But you got to use the machine. You have
Well,
to.
because that goes back to your point of blocking does nothing. I can think about like the early file sharing days, like back when I was still in school, blocking file sharing. Well, we're just going to find a way around that. The only way that it gets contained is when the university produced a better way for us to share files and
Like the,
store them.
the
Because,
the
like,
absolute compliance joke, which is, the auditor comes in and says, demonstrate to me that you block USB, use USB, that you have USB blocks on. Like, why?
right.
Why? Oh, because I'm going to show you that somebody can't plug a hard drive in and steal company data. Are you kidding me? Like, okay, so do you now want me to go block Google Drive? Do you want me to go block OneDrive? Do you want me to go
Right.
block Nord Drive? Do you want me to just
You want
on
me to
and
block pen
on?
and paper? Like, what do you want me
Do
to
you
do here?
want me to block ChatGPT? Because here's what my employees are doing by you blocking the hard drive. They're copying our company data, throwing it into the non-enterprise version of
Correct.
ChatGPT,
Correct.
and then prompting it to upload. And then on their personal device, they're finding a way to pull it back out. Data loss. Come on, guys.
So to kind of land the plane on that one, because I could spend all day talking about Gen AI and security and stuff, I would use it to differentiate yourself. It's like when people would apply for SOC jobs and they were heavy on automation. It was like,
Yeah.
I want to talk to that guy because that's the person that's actually going to improve. They're going to thrive, not just survive, So yeah, I would use it as a differentiator. I would just have some caution around tying your brand to AI.
Yep. Okay, so market data, back to the job stuff, right? Here's another number that I found on a report. It was on the Wall Street Journal, posted on it, Axios posted on it. There are about 74 workers per 100 openings, which means we should all have jobs.
We should all have jobs.
But the hiring life cycles have increased by 21%.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
think about this. Let's talk about the reality. How do people get jobs today? As far as I know, it's all LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
10 people are using Indeed, but I don't think anyone's using anything but that. I don't think there's anything else. I talk to recruiters and they all say LinkedIn's the place to go. Here's how you want to make your LinkedIn profile work. You want to follow companies that you're interested in. You want to follow people at companies that you're interested in. These are the things that are going to get you ahead of other people if you apply at those companies.
yeah.
You should friend request and connection request people on LinkedIn. This is how people are finding jobs using LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is broken because within the moments of a job being posted, you hit
Oh yeah,
refresh and you see 25 people have already clicked on this link. You hit refresh 5 minutes later, it says 100 applicants have come in.
that's right.
And
Well, it,
and people are saying that I'm talking to people who are reviewing resumes, some folks who are in our own community who are discussing this with us, who are saying we're seeing resumes that definitely demonstrate they were written by AI and never modified. Like even like some
right.
AI triggers, very visual triggers, are in these resumes. There's many facets of this. There's the hiring manager problem. There's also the applicant problem of being in this massive pool of applicants.
Well, and one thing that really kind of blew me away. So I did a job search. I don't know, starting like March. I hired a person in June for one position. I received over 200 applications for this one position within like a week or two, which is wild. And I will say that by and large, these applicants were not qualified for this position at all. And it's weird because it's not like it was they weren't qualified because they didn't know some specific programming language I was looking for, or they didn't have access to a certain system. No, no, no. They'd never done the job that I had posted, and they're applying for this. So there's a lot of automated submissions. I'm sure recruiters have embraced automation and scripting and bots and stuff, just like sniping, samurai swords off eBay or whatever. Like, that's the thing that really blew me away because in recent years, yeah, I'd get 50 applicants and I have to sort them through and they're pretty much all the same. But like it was quite a sea change of like highly unqualified applicants that have never done this job before are applying for this job. So, Sean, to your point, when you see those 180,000 people have applied for this job already, the bulk of them may just be, chaff, bullshit.
Mm.
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to go to another one. Just when the fact that we've got comments coming into the chat, I'm going to
Yeah,
pause like what was our
let's do it.
regularly planned program.
Prioritize
Here's an
that.
interesting
Yeah.
one. Because of an unannounced recession in Germany, people are losing jobs. Okay, that's an opinion, but I would say, hey, maybe we're having that in the U.S. too, because like we are talking about like prices have gone completely through the roof since the
Yep.
pandemic of everything, and a lot of people are losing jobs. Okay, but this goes on. This comment and question goes on to say many tech job losers, not losers, but they've lost their job. I just want to make sure
Wow.
we clarify
Wow.
this. People
You
who
know,
have
job
lost their
having
job
loser.
are leaning towards cybersecurity. So people who are in technical roles are saying, "Hey, I'm going to lean towards cybersecurity because I believe that is a safer path to head in." And maybe there's more opportunity for work there. And so there's a question on this. Would this approach work? If you're leaving tech, leaning towards cyber, will it work? And what about certifications? And I will say you should go back to our earlier podcast that we talked
Yeah, we
about
have a
certifications. We
whole
have a whole
podcast
hour
on
podcast. So
certs.
we won't go deep into the certifications, but definitely go check out the old podcast. Just a thought of lots of folks being laid off that might be in other tech sectors and saying, hey, cyber's more safe. Why don't I move over there? Learn a few skills and move over there.
So I do have some personal anecdotes that relate to this, which is interesting. So I had a friend of a friend let me know that, oh, hey, so and so just got a master's in cybersecurity, which I didn't even know what that was. He got a master's in cybersecurity. He's looking for a job. Can you talk to him about,
I love when people
job
say, hey, did you
prospects?
get your degree in cybersecurity? I go, first of all, the word cybersecurity didn't exist when I went to school.
Correct.
So
Just so we're
there's your
clear.
answer.
Yeah, no, I went to school for drums. That's what I went to school for. So and again, if this person is listening, you're a gem of a human. This is not in any way meant to like shame you. But I look at their job history and they've had like jobs in sales or like marketing and I mean, had a great work history, but they just all of a sudden decide to go get a master's in cybersecurity. Here's the unfortunate truth. Cybersecurity, unless you are going straight to governance, risk, and compliance, is not an academic degree focused job. Now, I'm sure some of you are listening like, oh, you're wrong. Well, okay. There are some, let's say, application security or product security jobs that you'll be much better positioned to do with a degree in computer science,
Yep. Computer science, software engineering, right?
not cybersecurity. Like, Sean, I feel so silly saying this, but I don't even know what 4 years worth of cybersecurity would look like. Like, do they go into actual SecOps things and then GRC and give them like a breadth of exposure? I don't know. But my point being is if I'm hiring for an analyst job and I have someone who's got 15 years in the seat and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in, theater versus someone who has zero experience, but they've got a doctorate in cybersecurity, 10 times out of 10, I'm getting the person with experience in the seat because chances are they're probably less. They probably require less compensation, but also they're like plugged in immediately. Like I can sit them down in the seat and say, go do this. And they go, yes, because I've already done it.
Yeah, it's great to just hear that thought and that mentality. You're a hiring manager. I'm a hiring manager. It's fun to
Yeah.
hear that thought in our take. Back on that Reddit thread from earlier, just one of the comments says, I'm 50 applications in with 0 responses. I have a CISSP and 10 years of experience.
And so there again, proving my point wrong. Like I would be looking for that person with 10 years in the seat and the ability to pass a CISSP. But let's be very clear. I think the CISSP, I think the folks at ISC Squared got really good at marketing for a while because, like, the CISSP is good for one thing and one thing only, and that is managing a cybersecurity practice. It does not make you a better analyst. It does not make you a better pen tester. It does not make you better at writing policy. It is managing a security infrastructure or program. And if you don't have the experience of actually being in the trenches that like accrete to that CISSP, it's pretty much worthless. And
And
and that's not to the person who's commenting because it sounds like you do have the time in the seat, you do have a CISSP, yet you're still struggling to find jobs. Again, that's a pickle for me. I don't know. Um, I don't know that we haven't gotten to advice and strategy, so I'll save it for that. But
Yeah. So my thoughts on this: 50 applications in, 0 responses. This is not you. This is the broken system. The
yeah,
system of applying for jobs is broken. I did mention earlier, it's all LinkedIn. Everybody applies on LinkedIn. Everybody looks on LinkedIn. That's where everyone's at. You have an entire globe of folks, funneled into a single location. And it's funny, LinkedIn has become a social network where if you used to think it was like a place you'd go to just,
oh no,
put your online resume and connect with people from a business perspective, but it is this, people live on LinkedIn all day long. Recruiters live on LinkedIn. Salespeople live on LinkedIn. It is this massive online network.
I see people bragging about their kids on LinkedIn. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
That's what Facebook was for, guys. Come on,
That's right.
separation of duties here.
That's what I'm saying.
So 50 applications in, 0 responses. I will argue, go back to the thing I mentioned earlier. If you are looking for a job and you're like, I want any job, well, be more thoughtful. What industry do you want to look in? Maybe you can use Gen AI to help you. Type in some things like, I like this type of work. I like this type of company. I like this size of company. I like a publicly traded company. I like a private company. I like a medical devices company. I like a high-tech software company. I like a machine fabrication company. And then have your Gen AI ask it, what are the top 50 companies in this space? All right.
That's right.
Now take those 50 companies, go into LinkedIn, follow all 50 of those companies. Go find some people who are saying cool things in that company and follow some of them. Go into some posts on LinkedIn, maybe comment on a couple of them. You doing these things will actually get you higher up in the LinkedIn algorithm if you decide to ever apply for a job there.
Here's another thing, and this may come off the wrong way, and I do not intend it to at all. But with the increase in, let me step back a sec. Back in the day, we needed people to work cyber so bad. Like it was, oh, you've got 10 years of experience, you've got CSSP. Come on, let's hop on in, let's get the party started. These days, I think, there's even though we just presented, there's a whole bunch of jobs and there's, not enough people. I still think that job pool has shrunk considerably. I think that our aspirations of having these, 60-person SOC teams, like those have dwindled away due to automation, due to AI. I think we've kind of reset a lot of our
I
expectations.
think automation, AI, plus don't forget the last 10 years of MSSPs and managed detection and
100%.
response companies that didn't
Just
exist
doing
before.
security better, Sean. Just
Yeah.
like being able to do security better, learning from our mistakes. Not saying that like security is shrinking and going away, but my point is, myself included, I don't think that we are used to selling ourselves enough in applying to these jobs. And I am not in any way saying you're not trying hard enough or like, you're studying for the OSCP and like try harder. No, what I'm saying is, just like Sean said, you probably again, it sounds so bad, but you need to put more work into it. You need to research these companies. You need to understand where they're at in their, corporate life cycle. Are they doing a bunch of M&A? Are they restructuring? Are they a startup? Are they a 40-year-old company? Are they a 180-year-old company? And then use that information to evangelize yourself as the solution to their problems. The person that I hired, that was exactly what it is. Like we talked about it, and their pitch to me was like, "I'm going to solve these problems for you because of the experience I have, and because of how well positioned I am to do da 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 da." So, in that, when you're applying for these jobs, I mean, again, the amount of, or rather, the lack of selling yourself that I saw in most candidates. People say, "Don't write a cover letter anymore." I don't know about that. I like a cover letter that says, "Hey, I'm Garrett. I've got, 20 years in security operations. And so I see that you guys are acquiring a bunch of companies. I can help you build a secure onboarding, solution for that to take your, I don't know, your onboarding from 4 weeks to 2 weeks or whatever." But it's just like selling software, which is what I do now. You have to paint a picture of you being successful with this solution, or you need to paint a picture of this company being successful with you as their newest hire.
Yeah, this is good. All right, so let's do another minute or so on like other advice and strategies we have.
Okay.
The thing that I was hitting on, which is we're all in LinkedIn, everyone's following the same path, which this has become the traditional path. So you need to become a non-traditionalist. And I was just giving some hints of how to be non-traditional. applying for jobs in LinkedIn, if you go and look at a job, you can see the numbers: 100 applicants, 500 applicants. It's already too late. If you see a job that's posted, you get about an hour to be the first in the list, to be at that
That's
top
right.
of the list. And if you've waited a day, that actually, you might be too late, because I've seen jobs that are posted 2 days later, they say no longer accepting applicants for this job. So the
Right.
clicking the button for 50 job applications, which one commenter made earlier, is not the path for success today. It's just not. It's a broken system. So be non-traditional, specifically target companies and industries that you're interested in working in, and then find those companies, follow those companies, get involved in their online chat. And I'm using LinkedIn, but every social network,
I see where you're
they're
going with
everywhere.
this.
Leverage that, become a part of that community. You may find, you as you're looking at jobs, you go down that path. And I truly believe that if you have connections in a company, right? Say maybe you've done some connection requests, or just by the history of you growing your online network, you are now connected with people in those companies. You got to
Hmm.
leverage that. You have to leverage your
Right.
network. More and more people I talk to, it's all about the network. It's much less about I clicked the LinkedIn button and I got a job.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. You just kind of took a different spin on it, but you're exactly correct. Use social engineering to contact the people that are hiring for the jobs that you want, or the jobs that they may be hiring for in the future, and get yourself on their radar. Like Sean said, participate in their communities. One of the best hires I ever saw, and I did not hire this person, was a customer of a software vendor that I worked for. And they were such a pleasure to deal with in this like proof of concept and onboarding experience that we eventually were just like, and he just knew everything about our product. It was just like, do you want a job here? Because we really could use your expertise in that. So that's one avenue. Another avenue, which Sean, I think this is kind of the path you were going down, is don't ever burn a bridge in this industry. Don't ever. Like, we're way too small. I've had jobs that I absolutely hated. And I left that job with a smile on my face saying, hey, it was a real pleasure for the experience. And I was genuine. I wasn't being, disingenuous about it. I was like, hey, I had a great experience. Really appreciate, the chance you gave me or whatever. And let's stay connected, because I guarantee you that person or that group of people will come up again. And this is going to sound really, I don't know, big headed of me, but I'm at the point now where I know enough people in my network to where if I did lose my job, I don't know that I would get a job overnight, but I know that I would have contacts that know me and know what I'm capable of and understand my work history. And I just have a much better chance of getting one of those jobs. I know not everyone is in that position, but like Sean said, the time is now then to start cultivating your network. The whole Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now.
I love that you said social engineer, right? You brought it back home to our world too, because
That's
that
right.
is what I was describing. Like, social engineer your way into
Absolutely.
because it's interesting that if you do start social engineering your way using social media as some of the techniques, which is where we live. I have experienced this, and I've heard other people say this, where someone from recruiting at a company has said, hey, I notice you're liking our posts and you're connected with people here. Would you be interested in looking at a job opportunity?
Absolutely.
It does exist. So social
Yes.
engineering your way in. Great way to put it, Garrett, because it ties it back into the world that we're in.
And I'll give you a hint. There are only a handful of ways that people structure their email addresses at a company. So you can very easily guess someone's email address within, I don't know, 3 or 4 tries.
First initial last name, first name dot last name. There's only so many.
That's right. So contact those people and be upfront and honest. Hey, I'm hungry. I got all this experience. I know that you're hiring, or maybe when the next time that you're hiring, think of me.
Yeah, that's way to good put it.
It
Hey,
works.
we gotta wrap up, Garrett. We both got to
We
get back
got
to
to.
work. We got to
Yeah,
get back to
yeah.
work. Hey, just reminding everybody, especially with the shirt I have on today, the Cybersecurity Growth merch store. You can get your own
Yes.
CISO. You can get your own CISO tie dye here. Career soon over. It actually even has some on one of the sleeves here. It has our logo on it here too. So yeah, there's that
Beautiful logo.
and more. So help support the podcast. Go to cybersecuritygrowth.com, click on the store or the merch button, and go grab yourself your own Career Soon Over t-shirt. Garrett, we got to wrap up, don't we?
We got to. It's
All right.
time.
Thanks everybody for listening, for watching. If your company would like to become a sponsor of the Cybersecurity Growth Show, just reach out to us at sales@cybersecuritygrowth.com. You can find us on all the socials. Did you want to?
I just want to mention,
Yeah.
in the spirit of the whole job thing, you want us to review your resume, send us your resume. We're always down to review a resume, and Sean loves coming up with fake names, so come on.
You can throw that at sales at cybersecuritygrowth.com as well. Our team will take a peek at it. I'm Sean Valley, the creator of the show, the music here on Cybersecurity Growth. You can visit us at the website, cybersecuritygrowth.com, get all of our shows there, check out our network and our community there. We are on every social location at Cybersecurity Growth, including LinkedIn. We are most active on LinkedIn, and we're also active on TikTok. Hey, Garrett, I've been doing these walking live AMAs all week long. So I did like 4 of them on TikTok. I did one on YouTube, which was a little bit wacky. I felt like I was in like the Xbox Live network back in like the early 2000s with the comments I was getting. But I've been doing these lives, and it's been really interesting to hear the conversations. Some of the conversations stirred today's content. So follow us on any social network. Those I just mentioned are the ones we spend most of our time on. We are doing lives, and we're using that to figure out what our next shows are going to be. So we hope you guys will join us there. Please like us. Please subscribe wherever you're at. If you got 5 stars, do that. If you got a thumbs up button, please hit it. Leave comments. Let people know that you're enjoying the show.
Feed that algorithm.
Please do. Hey, Garrett, you're not on much of the social media, so just curious, where can people find you?
Well, you'll probably find me around my house, begging, borrowing, and stealing all the wires and connectors and little CR2032 batteries around my house, making everything not work as I prep for DEF CON. Here in a couple weeks, that's exactly where you're going to find me. You're going to find me roaming the halls of the Las Vegas Convention Center.
The CR32 battery. I just pictured, the little flat battery that you got to slide the little cover off with a butter knife to kind of pry the cover off and slide the fresh battery in.
My family's like, why is this remote not working? It's like, well, I needed that battery, for my little blinky badge.
So good. All right, this week we covered cybersecurity jobs. What a fun conversation, Garrett. We got into it, and I appreciate it.
Fun for us, not fun for others. We don't mean to make light of this. This is a real problem, and we're down to help. Just know that this is an ever-evolving problem, and if this is a topic that piqued your interest and you want to hear more, let us know.
Yeah. We're live on the Cybersecurity Growth platform. This week we decided to go live on Twitch. We usually do this every other week, Fridays around 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. GMT, and then we're in YouTube and the pod feeds a few days later.
Yep.
Garrett, great hanging out, great conversation. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will catch you next time.
Take care, folks. Thanks so much.
See you, everybody.
Bye.